I taught 6 classes on Monday. That's a lot for me. Well, I guess that's a lot for anyone. I wasn't nervous about the next day. Oh, the superintendent of my district was going to be dropping by on one of my classes. Thankfully, I got advance warning from a teacher friend. Okay, I was a little nervous. I generally have pretty good classes, but, you know, someone once told me every teacher lives in fear that the administration will find out what's really going on in their class. Pretty funny. It's pretty true. So, when I got home, this teacher friend calls, and she says, "You're nervous, right?" I denied it. She points me to this website, Amplify, it's called. It's supposed to amplify your teaching. Not that I need it, she says. So I took a look. At first, it seems like sort of a lesson planner, but it's a lot more than that. I typed in coefficient of friction. That was the riveting subject of tomorrow's class that I was going to thrill the superintendent with. Bang, right away Amplify asked me what kind of questions I want to ask. Open-ended, factual, was I asking for volunteers, calling on random students, to have kids talk to each other, small groups, whole class. The whole thing is about conversation. It was kind of addictive, and I ended up planning more thoroughly than usual. The next day, I wasn't nervous. Yawning doesn't necessarily mean you're nervous. 5 minutes before class, I opened the Amplify website, this time on my tablet, which all the classes were given this year. The kids started to wander in, all 28 of them, including this one amazing kid. He enters the room sideways every day, literally, sideways. I like him. I tell them all to click Amplify on their tablets, then I literally press the Start Teaching button and quickly take attendance. The night before, I had decided to start with 10 Do Now questions. I had also chosen to quiz everyone on the first 5 of them. So I pressed a button and 5 of the questions show up on their tablets. Then after they answered them, I showed them that on average the group got 4 out of 5 right. I have their attention now. For the next 5 Do Now questions, I do cold calls. Amplify helps me pick Jason. Who was the first person to come up with a scientific description of friction? I say. Now, Jason doesn't like to speak up much in class, so I don't usually call on him, but that's exactly what he needs. Leonardo da Vinci, he says. He was right. His rubric shows up on my tablet. I evaluate his answer while keeping my eyes on the class. It's like a heads-up display for a jet pilot, but it's for me, a teacher. Next, I cold call Andrea, asking her to define the word empirical, which she should know, but she doesn't, which I indicate on her rubric. Amplify automatically chooses another student for me to ask that same question. That next kid gets it right. Amplify then does a no opt-out and has me go back and ask Andrea the same question, now that she's heard the right answer. My kids are now on their toes. Next, I click on several images of friction that I had downloaded the night before on Amplify. A space capsule returning to Earth fills my tablet, and would fill a projector if I had one set up. I explained from my notes that scientists want a way to measure friction. They always want numbers. I asked if any student wanted to propose a way of measuring the friction between 2 surfaces, 2 objects. 11 students pressed their volunteer button. I can see them right on my tablet, and it's a relief not to have to pick from a sea of waving hands. I picked 4 students, recommended by Amplify. Next, just like I'd set up the night before, I press a button that breaks my class into groups of 4. I see Sideways Boy making a comment about his group, so I note the behavior on my tablet, which he also sees on his. I tell the class that each group will have 8 minutes to invent their own best way to measure friction, and to make sure that every student in their group can explain their idea aloud. After timing 8 minutes for me, Amplify helps me to pick 1 student from each group to explain their idea. Nice. And they've definitely been coaching each other. Finally, I do a mini simulation that Amplify helped me set up the night before. I asked the class to enroll in an actual case where the U.S. government wanted to come up with a way to rate all American tires. I had them vote on different ways the government proposed to do this. Of course, just like in the real world, their votes had unexpected consequences. Fun. At the end of the class, as the kids leave, including Sideways Boy who left sideways, Amplify shows me a few cool things. 1, I had included every student in the conversations. 2, I had good records of the style and content of their participation. Plus, I saw the superintendent seated comfortably in the back of the classroom. She's smiling. You know, I've done polls before. I've put my lesson plan on a tablet. I've recorded behaviors on my tablet, but Amplify, it's all in one place. No more switching between apps. 'Cause, hey, I'm busy teaching.